That new sweet AC, keeping it cool.
Sweet AC. It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week we count the number of hats Kevin Feige might own.
Oh man, I didn't know this was in the news. This is great.
I know. I put this here specifically for you, Mike, because I know you got to know.
Hat tracker.
We're going to speculate if the Star Wars Sith Troopers are related to Emperor Palpatine.
Oh, you know I love speculating, man.
I do. It's a light week of news. I'm like, I need some rumor mills in here. And Mike, he's going to eat these rumor mills up. Lastly, the Zack Snyder cut might truly exist.
God, no.
And more.
Oh my gosh. Well, I can't wait to talk about that stuff. At the top of the show, I did kind of want to mention, because it's all over the news and in my Twitter feed, that there was some tragedies in our country in the last day or so, and we're not going to dive into it too much, but I think this show is a good escape for sure. So I feel for anybody out there who is affected, but I hope that this show can just kind of help you escape the madness, and we're just going to talk about fun stuff.
Yeah, so we're gonna change those gears real quick out of what Mike just was talking about, and how I was realizing earlier when I was doing our show notes that we, Mike was right. We have renewed ourselves for the next 2 years, because I was making sure our upcoming release date page is up to date, and it is for the most part. So we're going to see how that stays true for the next couple of years. But with all these shows, I think we're going to have to add the Disney Plus shows into our review things, because I think those are going to tie into the MCU at large, Mike.
Oh, yeah, I believe what we've heard. I don't know if Feige said this directly in Hall H or when he was kind of just doing one-on-one interviews that weekend, but he was saying that, like, these are part of the MCU. These are just longer TV shows chopped up into episodes, and they don't have any sort of strategy yet that we've been told of if season 2 of these shows are even going to exist. You know, are they just going to take maybe the same actors and the same characters and maybe create a brand new type of show? So maybe we don't get a season 2 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Maybe we get just another storyline with a different title, different show logo and everything. So yeah, we don't really know. So we just have to appreciate the drop of like 6 or 8 episodes that we get.
However many. I mean, it could be 3 to 4. You never know with these, but I mean, with the actors from the movies being in these quote unquote TV shows, I think they're going to be more like limited series. And then who do they even need a season 2? Maybe they, like you said, change the title. Like, you know, Marvel hasn't put a 2. I mean, what, Iron Man 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 are the only movies with the numbers in them. Mm-hmm. And you know, they never used numbers, so they could actually, the show could end and it actually be a definitive ending without having to worry about the next series.
Well, technically you could give a caveat still to Guardians of the Galaxy, because they call them volumes, which kind of mixes in with like the tape and like audio type of playlist feeling, so you might be able to skirt by. But yeah, Iron Man 2, but it was just because it was so early in the MCU, they didn't even know what they were going to do yet, so like, okay, we'll just call it a 2. But to bring it back around, yeah, we probably do need to include it in our regular spoiler cast canonical reviews, because I'm sure all of these shows are going to be watched by everybody in a single weekend, unless they do a weekly release strategy, which I'm not really sure what they've said that they're going to do. They could go more of the HBO route or more of the Netflix route, but if they release them all at once, I can't imagine us be like, oh, I'll just watch one this week and I'll watch the others later. No, we're going to watch them all at once.
I would like to say that, but I mean, we'll talk about it here in a second. I'm finding more pleasure and more, I guess, enjoyment in doing a broken up approach rather than all in one go. But we can talk about that here in a minute, because I want to know, you had the opportunity. I've had a headache all weekend, enough to put me under sleep for 14 hours last night, Mike. It was a pretty rough migraine, but you were able to actually go see Hobbs and Shaw this weekend, and I'm super jealous. But should I be super jealous, Mike? Tell me about your experience.
Man, so Hobbs and Shaw was a fun film. I won't spoil anything, but there are some fun, unexpected cameos, which was exciting that they didn't show up in any of the trailers. Because if you did watch any more than like one trailer, you've pretty much seen everything that's in the movie. So and you didn't even have to see the movie to know that. You watch these trailers and you're just like, well, they can't put anything more than the movie. But when you're going into Hobbs and Shaw, you just know what you're getting. You're just kind of getting this like silly kind of cartoon action. You're seeing a lot of money thrown at the screen, which is pretty fun. I would consider these better than the Fast and the Furious movies, and that's a good thing because I wasn't really on board with kind of the Fast and the Furious fervor. Because a lot of people say like, oh, you just kind of shut your brain off and go see like these dumb people drive around in fast cars, but like it never reached the nice ratio of me between like dumb fun and just being dumb. So like even though like the previous Fast and Furious movies were kind of like emotional and touching because we lost some of the actors and stuff like that, I just didn't really care. It just wasn't my franchise. But this was just different because it seems pretty far removed, just similar characters. There's just some funny back and forth going on. So I've kind of forgotten, I feel like, half of this movie already just the next day. So it's not like any sort of a cinema art house masterpiece. But I had a fun time. I dragged my wife against her will to it. And I was just like, all right, get ready. This is going to be some dumb action. And then afterwards, she was just like, yeah, that was pretty dumb. But there were some pretty funny moments that I think she genuinely enjoyed. So this kind of reminds me of watching action movies when I was a kid. You know, we just picked up a random VHS at Blockbuster, you know, or out of the closet at home, you know, and you just watch it and you're just like, oh, this is crazy. Look how these like dudes are fighting each other. And then as you grow up, you have like a sentimental feeling with the movie, but then like you just realize, oh, it wasn't really that good. You just watched it when you were a kid. I feel like that's what this movie's kind of going to be. There's going to be like lots of like 8 and 10-year-olds like in the theaters, like watching Hobbs and Shaw like duke it out and save the world. And then they're going to grow up and then they're going to be doing YouTube videos of, oh, I watched this classic action movie when I was a kid called Hobbs and Shaw, and this is what I thought about it. I don't know. I'm getting very introspective, but yeah, Hobbs and Shaw, it was a fun time. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Sounds like a good time. Now, I've seen Fast and Furious 1 and 2. Uh-huh. Do I need to watch any of these jumping in, or do they give it to you pretty good?
No, absolutely not. All you need to know is The Rock is classically considered the good guy in the Fast and Furious universe, and Shaw / Jason Statham is considered kind of the bad guy. But he's kind of taken a little bit of a redemption arc, so he's kind of like almost like an anti-hero, if you will. So maybe think of like... I'm trying to think of like Marvel comic books analogs.
Is it like a Loki where he starts off bad and then he becomes the anti-hero later?
Yeah, maybe kind of like one of those. There's a very similar moment in this movie that kind of connects The Rock to Captain America, and you're just like, there's no way The Rock could do that without literally being a superhero. But in the context of the movie, you just kind of laugh it off and you just continue on with your 30-minute action set piece that you're in. So yeah, big screen, small screen, pay to see it, watch it for free. It's not going to be a waste of time, but maybe don't go too crazy trying to go see it. Don't punch somebody. I don't know why you would, but if for some reason there was a scenario where you had to punch somebody to see this movie, maybe don't do that.
Okay, all right. Well, I will stay away from any fist fights on my way to Hobbs and Shaw.
You'll have plenty of fist fights in the film itself.
Okay, that's good. Well, speaking of another title that I would call Hobbs and Shaw, what about The Boys? Can we just call the movie The Boys because it sounds like what it would be? But I ended up watching the show The Boys on Amazon this week. I saw a lot of people actually on. I don't usually get a lot of recommendations off Facebook, but people were like, I watched it. It was good. It's great. And so I was like, it's not going to hurt. I'm going to give it a try. So I ended up watching The Boys across 2 days, 8 episodes, which was plenty. Like, that's a great number of episodes. Any more than that, I probably would be like, nah, I don't have the time for this. But across 2 days, I was able to watch The Boys, and I'm not going to give anything away from this because it does not follow. Don't read the comic book because it doesn't follow the comic book. You're not getting anything from that. But I had a good time with this, Mike. We remember the show Powers that was on briefly on the PlayStation Network for like 2 seasons maybe.
Oh yeah, I think we watched the first episode, and that's as far as it got. But I do vaguely remember it.
Yeah, I watched the first season of that, and this is a better version of something similar, where the heroes, there's essentially what are called like the Seven, which are like a play on DC's Justice League, but they're all corporate driven. It's a corporate backed group of heroes.
Oh, that's cool.
And then the boys are people who are like, we got to figure out how to, like, kind of, I guess, a rogue CIA group of people who are like, we got to figure out how to take these guys down a notch or two. I actually really enjoyed it. There is some grotesqueness in here. I will tell you. We watched the trailer, but like when superheroes kill people, they kill people in here. So, or I guess super villains. Either way you want to cut it. But I had a really good time with it. Carl Urban, always a pleasure to watch him work in whatever he does. So he really brought that home. And then there's a couple other characters that are interesting. I enjoy it. Like I said, it's nothing like the comic book per se, and they definitely, I'm pretty sure Seth Rogen said they're working on season 2 maybe, but I would recommend, if you want to watch The Boys, you'll know after the first episode if you'll like it or not. If you like the first episode, the rest of it's very good. If you don't dig the first episode, you're not going to get anything better out of it. It's kind of what I told you earlier this week. But I think the writing was great. The characters, there's enough characters, they play off of each other. It's kind of like Spies with superheroes, but a little bit more, I don't know, off the rails a little bit. So
no, I'm on board. This sounds fun. We were trying to go see the first episode of this earlier in the year at Comic-Con, but we didn't have an opportunity to go because we were like all sunburnt. And we had other things going on. But I'm glad we can just go in the comfort of our own home and watch it now.
Yeah, and watch all of them. Because once you watch it, if you like the first one, you're like, dang, I really want to watch the second one now. So that's always a good plus. I mean, The Boys was all over Comic-Con. They had a whole street block dedicated to this. And I believe if I have my Comic-Con, was it on the badge? Were they on the badges too or something?
No,
like that?
Walking Dead was on the badges.
Okay.
But they had their own badge.
Yeah, there was everything. They were everywhere there. So... I'd say if you got Amazon Prime, you're not spending any extra money. Watch the first episode. If you like it, yay. If not, that's fine. You can walk away. But we're here to talk about news this week, Mike. We've got some news. Mike needs to get to a speculation section. He loves that. So let's jump in here with Avengers Endgame. If you didn't know, it's available on digital release right now. If you want to go buy it. If you're not a physical person and you just want to get the digital, go buy it right now. It's on everywhere you want to go. The HD memes are starting to come out about this, Mike. That's how you know the release is out, because the people using the screen captures from the cam versions have all swapped over to...
No, you are totally hitting me right at my core. That is usually how I know when movies are out on digital release is when the screen caps get better. I'm like, oh, somebody got a good version of that. Because people out there, they're serious about their memes. Like, they probably have a whole folder that they're just getting ready to upgrade. They're like, oh man, I can't wait to upgrade my memes this week.
They got a whole folder full of Photoshop files. They're about to ready to swap the screenshots out and use the same thing on the back. So that's out. You can check that out. It's out. I think Vudu did a release watch party with Kevin Feige and Trina Tran, I think was her name. But one of the cool things is at the end of the film, when Peter gets to meet back up with his buddy Ned, there seems to be a Spider-Gwen reference here, Mike, that we missed in the theater.
Oh, I see it.
If you
right
up,
here.
It's nothing huge, and it could just be a coincidence, but there's a blonde girl with a jean jacket, a pink backpack, and a spider web-looking skirt.
Yeah, it definitely looks more like an homage, because you can only see the back of this actress's head, and it just... this kind of just seems like a normal person in the scene. So I don't know if this was just the costume designer was like, oh, this would just be fun if you put on this Spider-Man, webbing skirt. But yeah, I could totally see that being intentional.
Yeah, later on, several years down the road, this is they're going to flash back to this exact scene, and we're going to see the reverse camera side with the person's face, and it's going to be what's her name, Spider-Gwen, Gwen Stacy. But during that Voodoo View party, someone asked, I thought it was you, Mike. I swear to God, I thought it was you. How many hats does Kevin Feige own for the video viewing party? And he responded to this personally, I honestly don't know. Dozens.
Dozens, he says.
Dozens.
One of the richest men in Hollywood can only afford a couple dozen hats.
He's got 3 pairs of shoes and millions of hats. That's his closet right there.
See, I would like to imagine he has like one of those closets that you see in like MTV Cribs, where it's like there's like a specific nook for each hat. It rests on its own like oak hook or something like that, and it's just all pristine. But Kevin Feige seems like a very pragmatic man, as you can see the universe that he's created. So I would just almost imagine like his wife has a very nice closet, and then he just like throws his hats in the corner just because he doesn't care.
No. He's got his own Jarvis system they've built, and he gets to preview his hat on him using augmented reality, and then he pushes a button and it delivers the hat to him. That's what it is.
I don't know if Kevin Feige has kids, but his kids have a very easy way to figure out what gifts that they're going to give their dad for Father's Day or birthdays. You're just like, I'm just going to go down to the pharmacy. I'm just going to go down to the local CVS, and I'm just going to buy a hat because that's my dad. He wears hats. No ties for him. I've seen him at movie premieres. He never buttons his top button, and he never wears a tie. Yeah. So it's got to be hats.
Well, you're going to run into the point of, does he have this hat or not, though? Mm-hmm. Because he's buying hats left and right. It's an impulse buy for him at the store. He's checking out. He's picking up the first hat he sees. He's like, I need to buy a hat.
The crazy thing is he's rich enough to get one of those really expensive, crazy like hair surgeries. He could have a full head of hair if he wants. But Kevin Feige, he does not want his hair getting in the way. He just wants to wake up in the morning, throw on a hat, and then go make an X-Men movie. So
yeah, that's his hardest part of the day. Is choosing what hat to wear. What have I already worn this week?
See, I want DC to have their own Kevin Feige, so I can just start adding weird myths to that character. Yeah. It could be anybody. Just pick somebody, so I can start attributing weird conspiracy theories to them.
They need a guy with shoes. It's got to be the opposite side. A guy who always has on fancy shoes or very standout shoes.
Or it could be like a woman that like really loves trench coats or something. Yeah. I don't know. It could be anything.
She loves big, large hats.
Oh, yeah.
With the wide brims, yeah.
So it's like that Key and Peele sketch where they're trying to out-hat each other.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man, there's a lot of hope out there for someone with a very unique standout trait to get that job. So that's how you pitch it. But anyway, Avengers, that's in physical release, I think, is not this week. I don't know what day it is. Maybe I think it's a week from this coming Tuesday before it comes home.
I think it's soon because usually the Honest Trailer crew like to drop their Honest Trailers usually somewhere between the digital and physical release, and I think maybe this coming week is when they're doing Endgame. So I would think the physical release has got to be hot on that. I'm
gonna do a check here. It's a week from Tuesday, August 13th.
Gotcha.
Because I've got the Steelbook coming home for my collection, Mike. But apparently you can get the Avenger 4 movie bundle if you don't own any of them on digital for Vudu. So
hey, there you go.
It's pretty cool. But we're going to look forward to next year when we only get 2 Marvel movies, Mike. It's tragic. How do we handle only 2 Marvel movies in 1 year?
It's called Disney Plus, Chris.
It is. And that's where we get Hawkeye and Winter Soldier, or Falcon and Winter Soldier. Damn, the birds of some kind, and Winter Soldier. But Eternals is in the fall, and Angelina Jolie. They're doing all this press stuff for after Avengers coming out, and Angelina Jolie says she's going to give the MCU the best Thena they deserve. And this character also goes by name Azura. So in case people are like, who's Athena? It's Azura in the Eternals book.
Man, I know that they're going to do a better job than the Inhumans, but I'm just getting Inhumans flashbacks kind of with these names and everything and these like kind of this mysterious cast of characters that I'm not familiar with, but you're much more familiar with.
This is going to be way different than Inhumans. I think you're going to see, this is going to be compared more to a topic we're going to talk later about New Gods. Okay. This is essentially a Marvel's New Gods. They were both created by Jack Kirby, and they both kind of have very similar backgrounds. Inhumans is kind of more along the lines of an X-Men, so I'd be more concerned about an X-Men history comparison than a Eternals comparison. But I think I don't know anything. I have all the books. I've kind of been diving in through some of these older ones, and I still don't know how they're going to adapt it very well. But I if they tend to do better fall properties that are out there and like mind trippy, because the Eternals are based on Jack Kirby's artwork, which is going to look wild, but. I'm excited to kind of see what they do with this and these characters and their abilities. Anything about you, Eternals? Got you excited?
I just had this thought pop into my head. I was kind of staring off into space. I was like, oh, maybe this could be it. I was trying to think of why go to all this work of bringing the Eternals into the MCU. I understand it's a property that they own, so why not? But there's a lot of groundwork to cover there, like the Guardians of the Galaxy worked out really, really well. All of these characters that nobody really knew, but they were kind of weird and wacky enough, and they were pretty funny. So I think the audience took to them really well. But how are they going to adapt these Eternals? And I'm just thinking, maybe these Eternals are going to be very integral to the next big villain. So I think we talked about it before, maybe it could be a Galactus tie-in since they're bringing the Celestials, maybe the history of those people in. But what if they totally flip it on their heads and maybe these Eternals end up being the bad guys? Maybe they introduce them as good or something like that, but maybe we slowly learn that these are actually the next big bads in the MCU. And it would make sense because, I just keep trying to think how does the new Avengers fight a Celestial? They're gigantic. How do you fight the normal version of Galactus that we've seen, unless it's a hive mind swarm? But the Eternals, it could just be kind of this mere group of almost bad Avengers, if you will. Kind of maybe have a Civil War kind of volume 2. So that's going to be my out of the park. Out of the box idea that the Eternals will all be bad guys. So I'm putting that line in the sand. Let's see if Marvel does it.
I'm pretty sure you're way off your rocker, but that's fine. Who am I to judge you, Mike? You're making predictions early on. I think one of the newer comic books in Avengers was actually the Earth has a celestial seed in it, an evil celestials planted in the Earth, and that's they're here to stop it from happening later on. So maybe that celestial, when it emerges, could be a big villain.
It could be a baby Celestial, so they have to kill the baby before it gets too big.
Well, yeah, it'll be a normal, maybe a little bit larger, Thanos-sized Celestial. But also, part of that is Galactus. One of his missions in the comic books, why he's eating planets, is to find Celestials that have been planted and kill them early on. While they're in the egg state. So they could tie all this in together.
Maybe just nothing really fills Galactus up, He's I've been eating planets for a while. They all taste the same, but when I can find a nice Celestial, they just taste so good.
It's like a Cadbury cream egg. You got your regular chocolate, you've had your chocolate, but the interior is what really makes it.
Mm-hmm. And he likes them the best when they're babies. It's kind of a veal Celestial.
Well, kind of like an egg over easy. You like it a little runny.
Yeah. Oh my God.
This is getting weird. So we're gonna switch out of.
But you know what? We're gonna clip this audio in a couple years if we find out we're right. You know it.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to this because I remember. I did the Shang-Chi thing. I called that. Yeah. But the other thing is, these big name actors in Eternals. We got a huge cast rounding that out. So that's exciting. But also, Thor: Love and Thunder is bringing back their big name, Natalie Portman, one of the first draws into the Thor movie before Chris Hemsworth became pretty much a bigger actor than she did. But Natalie Portman is showing some of the stuff she's reading to get ready for her role as the female version of Thor, and that's from the Jason Aaron run of The Mighty Thor. Which is available. So if you want to learn why this Jane Foster becomes a Thor, this is your book to read.
Yeah, I'm the only reason I'm laughing is that this is just such a typical Hollywood thing to do. It seems like every time an actor gets cast or they're starting, or I guess in Natalie Portman, she's kind of starting up a new role, is they're always caught walking around with comic books. So it's just kind of another photo we can add to the album of Andrew Garfield walking down the sidewalk with Spider-Man comics. I remember that back in the day. So I don't know. It's just funny that some things never change.
Well, exactly. You can always guarantee it. If there's I bet there's an Angelina Jolie picture out there with her with Eternals comics. What do you want to bet?
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah. So yeah, you can probably always guarantee that. But if you're interested in reading how do they do this? How do they make it work? That's your Jason Aaron runs the one to go to. And it's less than 5 years old, I think, but they're all collected. If you're looking,
and it's a very specific strategy that they're doing too. This is actually a smart way to get into comic books. It's a very daunting task to follow all these storylines and everything. Sometimes it's just as simple as pick the one character you've been cast as and paid millions of dollars to play, and then you just read that one character. So all you got to do is take the millions of dollars out of the equation and just pick your character and go read them.
Yeah, that's true. Or just Google it. You can get a pretty brief rundown on Wikipedia these days, and that's all I need to know. That's good. We'll work it out there. Lot of characters out there like that. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, we just touched on this a little bit, Mike. They're looking to introduce Galactus and a character called Tyrant in the near future for the Phase 4, 5, and 6 run.
Says who? Where'd you get this news from?
I got some news from places, man. I can go find my sources, but the thing is, the Tyrant thing is the interesting part of this, because if I said Tyrant, you're like, that's a very generic name.
That reminds me of, what is it, Tyranitar from Pokemon?
Yes, Tyranitar is in Pokemon. You are correct. But Tyrant was a Galactus creation. He kind of looks like a robot-y dude who went rogue and turned against Galactus.
Okay.
But maybe the theory is that they're going to use Tyrant as the first Herald of Galactus, and rather than just introduce a Silver Surfer right away, because the Silver Surfer was not the first person.
This guy must have been created in the 90s. I'm just looking at his design. He is all chromed out. He has all of these cables on him and everything.
He's got that nice upside down U-shaped head with stuff coming off his background.
Yeah, he looks a lot like he looks a little bit like Apocalypse.
A little bit
too.
Yeah.
Let's see your first appearance, 1993. There
Yep.
you go.
Yeah, so and he was a creation of Galactus, very cyborgy looking kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what they said, what I said, they could introduce him as a Herald of Galactus and is destroyed, and Silver Surfer's used later down the road. Because if you get a Silver Surfer, you're gonna know who's coming right away. You're gonna be like, yeah, Galactus is right behind him. But that's usually not the way it works.
Maybe there's gonna be this crazy scene that we see in a future movie where the Celestials team up to fight Galactus, and then all of the Marvel heroes that are just in a spaceship just looking out the window holy shit, I'm not going out there. We're just gonna wait and see who's left after they're over there killing each other, because they're gonna be fighting on in a gigantic scale. So that'll be fun. I'd like to see something like that.
Mm-hmm. If there are any Celestials left, I guess. We've not seen any alive other than Ego, I guess. And he was just a brain in a planet.
Yeah, I think I saw a theory on one of the Marvel subreddits that thinks that maybe this Eternals movie might be the history of how that floating head planet and which Celestial was that?
It's just called Nowhere.
Nowhere.
They haven't really. I think in the comics they gave him a name, but in the thing that could be anybody.
Yeah, they're theorizing that maybe it'll be the origin of how Nowhere lost their head. Who knows? But that's an idea that's out there floating in the world.
Yeah, I think in the comic books, Nowhere was there's the symbiote home planet, where Venom came from. Mm-hmm. Their god called Null, Knull, had this necro sword and severed the head of a Celestial. I think it's all tied into Venom's background in the comic books, but
yeah, I think I watched an explainer video on kind of this new upkicked origin of the symbiote, and that was in there.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I mean, Celestials, they look so cool though. I mean, that concept art from a few weeks ago was just
I mean, I think I can safely go ahead and say that I'm okay with the MCU not explaining some things, because I feel like they might get into Ridley Scott territory with some of the new Alien movies, where if they try to explain everything away, there's really no mystery left in the universe. I feel like if you explained how Nowhere became a floating decapitated head and explain the origins of Celestials, you're kind of getting to this very abstract idea of the meaning of life, and I don't think I need that answered in my Marvel movies. So I'm okay if they want to leave some stuff unknown.
I don't think they will at all. I mean, it's just how are the Asgardians living forever? They'll never explain that probably.
Yeah, but they don't need to do that.
Yeah, they're we're fine. I think there's a lot they won't touch, but knowing that Nowhere is the head of a Celestial kind of puts it to scale, like you were talking about. And then the Ego was just a brain in a planet, and he's a Celestial too in that world, but it's whatever. Have you watched Runaways or Cloak and Dagger yet? Either of these shows?
No, I have not. So this will be a very fun news segment.
All right. Well, anyway, these shows run separately. One's on Hulu exclusively. One's on Freeform. And in season 3 of the Runaways, which will debut this winter in December, the Cloak and Dagger characters will appear in there, doing the first crossover between these two shows.
But didn't we talk about once, maybe last year, that the Runaways is also kind of having a simulcast on cable television too? So
they only did one episode only. They didn't actually follow through with any of that. They were just like, this is the same audience, like this age group.
Let's see what happens.
We'll give it. The season 2 has only been on Hulu that I know of, and season 3 is coming out pretty soon. Mm-hmm. And then. And in case you didn't know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6 wrapped up this weekend as well, this past Friday. Uh-huh. And there's rumors that there's an Agent Carter crossover in Season 7, which is the final season of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, wow.
So that, maybe Marvel TV is looking at these last vestiges of programming from themselves before it goes into Marvel Studios' hands. And they're like, you know what, let's do some wild stuff in this last thing.
Honestly, that's what I was about to say, too. It kind of just seems like, really realistically, how many seasons of Runaways could you possibly do? Even if it's like a great show, like maybe 7 or 8, really stretching it out there. So it just kind of seems like, you're having all of this mix up going on, having a lot of churned up muck at the bottom of the lake, just in Marvel in general, trying to figure out how things settle. So it's just like, if you're going to wrap this up, let's go crazy with the properties that we have, kind of have like a really cool baller send off, and then we're probably going to resurrect all these characters in like 5 or 7 years anyway, either as Disney Plus or as a movie. So This is cool though. Even though I don't watch these shows, I think it's cool that they're crossing over.
Well, I don't think any of these people will make an appearance ever again. The Runaways is too obscure and they don't really have powers of their own. That put them in MCU scale. Same with Cloak and Dagger. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they've done what they could with human people. And Agent Carter, if anything, Peggy Carter and Jarvis made the jump to Endgame, but that's about it. So I think this will, within a year, maybe 2, these will all be water under the bridge, if you will. And everything will just be, hey, here's Marvel Studios. You don't have to watch these other shows on any other network, just Disney Plus in the theaters. That's all you need to do this. And that'd be a great playlist under the Disney Plus banner. Just watch Marvel Cinematic Universe connected stuff.
Yeah. Hit play and don't let your eyeballs close for the next couple days.
Yeah, I'd have it on in the background if I create a playlist easily on any other streaming service. But no, you got to stop and go to back and hit play and find your next thing. It's a whole hassle.
No, it would be insane, and somebody could probably do it out there now if they wanted to, is just chop up every MCU property into like scenes, and then you just hit shuffle, and like every like couple minutes you just play a brand new scene. That would be insane, but that would be really fun to like have like on in like a background video, like if you're just like at like a party or something, like a superhero themed party. I've been to some of those before. Like I've been to like a Christmas party once where like the video screens in the venue were just playing like random Christmas stuff, like either random scenes from movies or random scenes for like Christmas like vintage commercials or something like that. You'd like see the Coca-Cola Santa Claus. So oh man, that'd be a fun party. Marvel themed party, just like random stuff popping up on the screens. All right, I'm going into club promotion, Chris. The podcast is over.
No, it's not. We got 2 more years, remember? We just talked about this. There is a Marvel Studios bar crawl in Louisville at the end of this month. I've got to see if I can go to it. You
better win it. That's all I'm saying.
There's no way I could lose. I just got to make sure I keep a level head throughout the whole thing. But if I do it, I will definitely keep the results back here, Mike. I will definitely let you know. This month, also at the end of this month, is D23 for any of you lucky ducks going out there. And they are offering a couple things here. First is the Disney Plus First Look Showcase on one of the days. So if you want to know about anything coming to Disney Plus, including that High School Musical, the TV show.
Chris, you know the people that listen to our show want to know about that.
I know you do. I know. I've been to your house. I've seen your poster. I know what you're into. But so they have a bunch of Disney Plus First Look Showcase, which I assume will include The Mandalorian. And Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I assume is in production, or at least will be very shortly, because they got to get that out by next year, is it? Yeah, early next year. So that's on there. But also on August 24th is the Marvel Studios sneak peeks. So I'm thinking more Black Widow footage, maybe some Eternals footage. And the one right after that is Shang-Chi. So they could do some costume releases or concept art for Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings.
Yeah.
So I think the end of this month, our news might spike back up here as we hit the fall season. Have you ever wanted to go to D23? Is that something that interests you? I mean, it's not like it's a Comic-Con, but...
Well, I feel like, isn't it a moving target? Is it at the same place every year, or does it move around?
It's biannual, so it's every 2 years, which is the worst part of it, but it's in Anaheim, as far as I know. Every year.
Well, like I said, it's every 2 years. I just lose track of it. I've never been there. Anaheim's not too far of a trek to get over there, but like I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. You know, I got to figure out how to get the tickets. I got to figure out when it is, how I'm going to get down there, how this thing works out. It's just a lot of stress in my life. When I could just come on this podcast and you could just tell me everything that I missed.
It could. So I mean, literally D23 is pretty easy. It just has either gold member prices or non-gold member prices, and you buy them like Comic-Con badges. You can get 3-day tickets or you buy individual days. I will tell you right now, you can only go Friday or Sunday. Saturday and the 3 days are completely sold out. So
yeah.
I get emails. We have since we went to the Disney World, I think we're part of this whole networking of marketing for this thing. But I would love to try it out to see what it is, but I can tell you this is probably more expensive than Comic-Con, just because it's Disney and knowing Disney's prices.
Well, hell, if you ever want to come back out here on the random every other year that it's here, I would go down with you for sure, because we could make it a whole weekend where we also go to Disneyland proper, check out Galaxy's Edge.
No, I was thinking of the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Break.
I'm going to get you on that ride. It's fun, man.
I'm not doing it. That's fine, though. Thank you. But some of the sponsors I think are funny for D23 this year are Box Lunch, which we love. Game Loft, that weird gaming thing that sponsors mobile games. Bandai Namco does all the Dragon Ball stuff. And Sunglass Hut.
Sunglass Hut, okay.
So, yep, there you go. But, yeah, we can take a look. How far is Anaheim from you? Just curious.
Just depending on traffic, you might be looking at about an hour, roughly.
Okay, so not too far. So, like, not hotel-worthy. Like, because I assume hotels are probably expensive.
No, you could definitely drive back. But apparently, I hear there's a pretty rad hotel down there at Disneyland that you can stay at. So I want to stay at it someday. They have like their own like kind of coffee shop where it's like a Disney themed one where you can get like Dole Whip and you don't have to go into the park, and then you can also order liquor on the side and then you can put it like in your Dole Whip. It's like the only way to get like a spiked one. So yeah, there's some pretty interesting things that you can do if you're staying there.
Are you familiar with the convention center down there at all? Have you been to the Anaheim Convention Center?
I have been told by some people that go to WonderCon every year, which is at Anaheim, that I should check it out. They say it's the speed's a little bit slower than Comic-Con, but it's a little bit more accessible. It's not as intense, so you can kind of chill a little bit more. So, I might check out the convention center for WonderCon maybe.
Yeah, because that's actually where they hold D23, and I just can't imagine what the floor is like. Do they have just let random vendors in like Comic-Con, or do you have to be like, I'm selling officially licensed Disney merch?
I mean, I've always thought about that for Star Wars Celebration as too, an even more narrow set of like, well, if the people that are exhibiting there, like, what is it? Like, if you're only having Star Wars stuff there, like, there's only so much Star Wars that is created in the universe. So, yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, and the people selling the bootlegs for old Disney shows definitely will not be there.
I think super fan of the show, Jim. I think he went to Star Wars Celebration last year, didn't he? I think he was filling us in. So Jim, let us know, what is it like outside of just the general panels and stuff? What are people selling? Just a bunch of Star Wars merch?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's the floor look like at these things? Do they have anything other than Star Wars? Can you get blue milk? I want blue milk. No, I want the green milk. Give me the green milk. But yeah, D23 is coming up. We're gonna have some new stuff the end of this month. Hopefully, some leaked footage. It's my cross fingers.
Yeah.
Speaking of Star Wars, I've heard some rumors that those red Sith Troopers are actually tied to Emperor Palpatine, not Snoke or Kylo Ren out the gate.
Now, I think Stormtrooper news is always the most fun, because it's anytime you see a stormtrooper that's not white and you haven't seen that colorway before, everyone just kind of loses it. Whoa, they put a coat red on a stormtrooper. Everything has changed, which I think they look really rad, but I think it's funny because we kind of did a similar thing for Rogue One. I think they had what was like a Death Trooper or something like that. Yeah. It was like a black trooper on a beach or something, and we're just like, oh, this is crazy. It's black now. So I'm
going to text you right now to your messages, Mike, a Funko Pop that came out a while back. I believe it was pretty early. It's a Target exclusive Stormtrooper. Mm-hmm. And what color is Target?
Target's red.
Red.
Okay.
So does this Stormtrooper that's Target painted not look exactly like a Sith Trooper?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
So I guess the thing is, I mean, I don't know how much. I'm not trying to tell you too much about Star Wars, but I was thinking about this. If these Sith Troopers are tied to Emperor Palpatine and they're trying to close up 9 films, I guess Emperor Palpatine he was in the first 6 throughout the whole thing. Palpatine was, even if he was Darth Sidious.
Yeah, that's true.
They kind of, after his death in Return of the Jedi, they kind of closed that off a little bit for 7 and 8. So if they're trying to wrap up 9 films in one nice little package, as well as make it its own movie and tie up this new trilogy, should Palpatine be involved at all with this? Maybe something he did to plan out past his death, or maybe he wasn't planning on dying. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think of, like, if you're the screenwriter and you've been tasked with bringing Palpatine back by, like, a higher up producer, I guess you just look at the last scene you saw him in and you're just like, well, he was thrown down a chasm and there was a bunch of lightning happening, and then if I remember right, there was kind of some sort of glowy explosion that happened when he fell down
blue and
there.
lightning-y, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was you or maybe somebody else on the internet, and I just forget to attribute this to, but somebody was saying that maybe he fused with the Death Star, or like a core of it, or sort of engine.
It was not me. That's way out of my.
I don't know what's going on there. I mean, obviously the easiest route to go is like evil Force Ghost. Maybe instead of being a blue ghost, he's a red ghost. Just to keep in line with the colorways of the lightsabers. I don't know. Maybe when somebody really powerful from the dark side dies, you can't visually see them, but maybe he can kind of implant himself like thoughts into people's brains. I don't really know exactly what the direction they want to go, but I think his laugh is creepy and it was cool to see in the trailer. But yeah, I don't really know how you bring him back up, but I actually didn't think about what you said. He was a presence in 6 films, so I'm actually looking at the Sith Trooper Funko Pop that was the exclusive at San Diego Comic-Con this year, and it looks much better than the one that they were selling at Target.
Yeah,
I think it's just because that mask, that weird. He looks like an undersea fish. The one that you get at Target.
Well, the one at Target is an older. It's a number 5 on the Star Wars realm, and now the one you just shows 306. So like that's an old. Like, I guess, molding of what a stormtrooper looked, because that's when all Funkos had to have the 0, like the circle eyes, and now they're like, oh, we can make eyes look like anything we want. We can give them the full visor, but like, the red. Everyone's like, the red looks cool, but it's not doing it for me, to be completely honest. I'm like, they could do so much more with this.
I want Star Wars to have the courage to put a colorway on a stormtrooper that's not cool. Like,
teal.
they've used all the colors that like make sports cars cool. Like, I want to see like a yellow stormtrooper that like is just in like the greenhouse gardening section, like watering like the space plants, or like a teal or like a fuchsia or something. Like, do one of those like have you heard of those like experiments that they've done in like prisons where they give all of like the prisoners like pink uniforms and all of a sudden they're more docile or whatever. I want to see what happens when you give a stormtrooper just a really weird colorway.
Hey.
We've seen chrome. The chrome was cool, but it didn't. The characterizing of the person in the uniform didn't really end up being as cool as the chrome. So I don't know, man.
A rainbow trooper. That's really gonna set people off on Star Wars. This
yeah. Or like a camo trooper. Yeah. I'm sure everybody would really like that.
Oh my gosh. You can find those at all of your Walmarts. They come with every 24 pack of Busch Light you buy.
Oh my God, Chris, you're a marketing genius.
I try so hard. But yeah, I'd like to see if these stormtroopers or Sith troopers have anything to do with Palpatine or not. If they're just hey, here's a new red trooper army for Kylo Ren because he's gone off the deep end after the last movie. I need something some substance here. But I'm excited to see Star Wars. You know, we rarely get that Star Wars news, so we're right around the corner for some more. We were tagged in a post on Twitter about more Star Wars news coming this month. So, weren't we, from Superfan Jim?
I think it was one of our other fans. I don't know. Somebody out there. Thank you for listening, and thank you for tagging us and getting our hype meters increased.
Yeah, I'm actually pulling up Twitter right now. I'm never on Twitter. It was Superfan Jim says new Star Wars content this month, and it's a girl playing a trumpet into an empty stairwell. For the
I saw that. It had the reverb through the stairwell, kind of gave you that the symphonic vibes.
Yeah.
There's this awesome video out there of I'm sure it could have gone really awful, but it went great. Where like these 2 or 3 high school kids like go find John Williams' house. And on the sidewalk with their like trumpet and maybe trombone, I don't remember what the instruments were, they were just playing some like Star Wars music like at his house, which I guess seems like really rude and like mean to do. But like John Williams like came out and he was like smiling and he gave these kids like a handshake and everything. So there's some cool content out there.
He gave them each a butterscotch candy and told them never to come back again.
Please don't come back here.
So yeah. Star Wars news on the horizon. In some interesting news here, Phil Lord and Chris Miller from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse have signed a first-look deal with Universal.
Okay.
Which, you know, I don't know if they've worked with Universal before and any of the stuff they've done, but they're to develop comedy and drama features based on original content, existing IPs, and other media.
Is their contract starting to expire over at Sony? Or I would have thought Sony would have like wrapped these guys up in like a very, very lucrative, long-lasting contract since they really knocked it out of the park with Spider-Verse for them. So I don't know. Maybe they just have development deals all over town and they can just make a movie or make a TV show wherever the hell they want because they're just so hot right now.
They could be. Remember, they did get fired from Star Wars.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So I don't know if they're up or down because they were fired from Star Wars, but they also did Into the Spider-Verse. They're known for all their animated stuff, I guess. If you look back, you know, the Lego movie.
The Lego movie was Warner Brothers, though. So really, they've done something almost at every studio, it seems like, except for Universal.
Cloudy with a Chance. Was that what was I guess Lego movie. What was the other one I was going to look up here? 2122 Jump Street. Where were those at, Mike? Those are MGM were those and Columbia.
Well, where is Men in Black? Because those were going to cross over.
That's Columbia. That's Sony.
Okay, yeah.
But so they're kind of all over the place here. And I did not know this, but they were directors and executive producers on the first episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, one of your favorite shows.
Man, Lord Miller, they're great.
Which is NBC Universal, by the way. So maybe they're going to focus on that a little bit. But they're also going to have an emphasis on fresh voices and new talent in all their stuff.
I mean, I wouldn't look too much into that because I feel that that's probably on every press release in Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. Every PR thing, hey, look, we're going to make new movies with things. And we're not hiring old people because, you know, they're expensive. We're going to get new ones that are cheaper.
But I guess if you read into the line, it could seem like they're going to take more of a producer role. So maybe you'll just see their names attached to a lot of things that they don't actually direct, and they don't because they didn't. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they didn't direct Into the Spider-Verse. They were producers on that film. So, because I think I follow the director of Spider-Verse on Twitter. So.
Right, and one of them was a writer. Lord was a writer, and they were producers on it as well. But I think that and Lego Movie are probably their biggest works right now, I guess, in the past 5 years. Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe Lego Movie's 5 years old. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I can't
so even.
Good.
I can't even right now. But yeah, if you go look them up, you can see all the work they've done and will be doing. The Venom movie, in a deleted Instagram post, because those always seem to make it true, Tom Hardy has confirmed Andy Serkis as pretty much the director, and then this was deleted like 10 minutes later.
It's funny though because it's a black and white picture of Andy Serkis, so out of context you would just think he died, because that's usually what happens when you share just a black and white photo of a celebrity without any context around it. So I guess I'm glad he's not dead, but Andy Serkis, this will be cool. Let's see what he does with Venom. This actually does make me excited for a sequel to Venom, because I feel like Andy Serkis is gonna bring some zhuzh that I'm looking forward to. There's a lot of curiosity in my brain around this film because I did not like the first one, but it made a lot of money, so I just have to wait and see what happens.
Well, I think we talked about the first one. It feels like it's half of a movie, and then the other half is just gone somewhere on the cutting room floor. And Andy Serkis, I think, has that clout where you're like if he wants something, you should probably do what he says, or we should probably listen to him because he's going to make a good movie. He
seems a little bit more of like an what do they call him, an auteur?
Auteur?
It seems like he is more personally and emotionally invested in his projects, maybe more than some other people that make some of these big budget films. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm on his IMDb right now. He has only directed. The only film he has directed is Mowgli. It looks like he did a TV movie the same year called The Ruins of Empires. No idea what that is. So this would kind of be his big screen directorial debut, since technically Mowgli went to Netflix. So
the biggest screen directorial.
Yeah, the biggest screen debut. So I'm crossing my fingers for Serkis. He was great as Claw. I love him as an actor. He's a great mocap guy. So very talented.
Yeah. He can bring a lot to the movie that the other guy was like. It just feels like there's a lot of movie left on the cutting room floor from that first one, and this Serkis probably be like, "No, we're doing it my way." Yeah. So, Justice League, Kevin Smith stoking the flames because that's all he does. People may like him, they may listen to him. I don't take a word Kevin Smith says seriously, but he has confirmed that there's a Snyder cut of Justice League out there somewhere. Now, it's not a finished movie. It was never meant to be a finished movie, and it's mostly pre-visualizations and green screen for people, the editors, to watch and fill it in. But do you think with enough people mentioning this every 2 months to bring it back to the zeitgeist, we'll ever see something?
Well, I mean, if you were at Comic-Con the other weekend, there was literally a plane flying around a banner that said "Release the Snyder Cut," which I thought was hilarious because only that happens at Comic-Con. And then I went to one of my favorite panels that weekend while you were in line for Hall H, the Screen Junkies movie fight panel. And there was a fight that was, should the Snyder Cut be released? And one of my favorite fighters and movie critics, Dan Murrell, just took the stance of like, screw it. Yes, let's release it so we can go ahead and put to rest this whole argument of, whether this cut is good or better, or what should have been or what could have been. Let's get it out there so we can stop talking about this like every other week. Yeah. So I think I'm kind of on that page now. I kind of just want it out there to just shut down all of these people that think it's going to be a better film, or what it's going to be. Everyone can make their YouTube think pieces with these screen grabs of the previs, and but at the same time, this is starting to feel a little bit like flat earthers. I feel like there's maybe only 5 legitimate people on this planet that think it's flat, but since it's such a crazy conspiracy theory, we've kind of overblown it, and now we think that there's this huge underground organization that thinks the Earth is flat. I feel like there's maybe like 2 people that really want to see this Snyder Cut, and then the internet has just made it this huge thing that it's not.
Other than that flying banner, I only saw 2 people wearing Release the Snyder Cut shirts at Comic-Con, so I think those were the 2 people. So they pulled their money together for that plane up there.
Custom printed T-shirts and a banner. There goes their whole retirement fund.
Exactly. They really want this movie, man. If they get this movie, though, they're gonna make a lot of money on bets. They probably place at Vegas and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, we should put our money down while we still can.
I'm not. No more money for those movies. We already watched the extended edition of Batman v Superman?
Yeah, those bastards got my money.
They did. They got Mike's money. However, in the future, DC's looking to be up and up. Things are getting better over there. Movies are getting better, right? Aquaman's a good step. Wonder Woman's been, we're looking forward to that. What was the other one? Shazam. New Gods is on the horizon with Ava DuVernay as the director and working with Tom King as the writer, who wrote the Mr. Miracle series, who happens to be New God. And she confirmed on a Reddit AMA this week that Darkseid and the Furies will appear in the film. So maybe this is the Snyder cut they want. They get their dark side finally.
I mean, did you ever see Wrinkle in Time? I know you guys go and see pretty much every Disney film that's released.
We didn't watch that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything that Ava DuVernay's done big screen-wise that I've seen. She did a very, very popular series on Netflix called When They See Us that everybody was really, really into. So I'm sure she's a very accomplished storyteller. Well, but I've seen. I think she also did something maybe with Scandal too, that was maybe an ABC TV show. I've seen a little bit of that, but I'm not very familiar with her work. So The Wrinkle in Time, I heard it wasn't that great. So hopefully maybe she can redeem her big box office budget category with this film.
Well,
I don't know.
I think so. I know she did Selma, which was big in like 2014.
Oh, yeah.
Which kind of put her on
very intense film, like Selma, and also When They See Us. Very historic kind of racially charged stuff there, which I've heard is really good. So my mind trying to think, how does this go to New Gods? Maybe if it takes like kind of like a dark, serious approach, maybe it will kind of be in her wheelhouse.
Well, right, and the thing with the New Gods versus the there's the evil versions, which is essentially Eternals and Deviants. It's exactly the same story. But she's very good at handling those, politically charged climates and films and stuff like that. And I don't know if New Gods will have any of that, but Wrinkle in Time is kind of like every year Disney does a live action movie which bombs. And it all started with like what John Carter from Mars, they did Tomorrowland, and then A Wrinkle in Time, and like all these blah blah blah. It's just not. I can't blame her for that because Disney just keeps putting out movies like that every year. But I mean, what can she bring to New Gods? Maybe she's got some, passion behind it, maybe some connection to it. I'm not sure, but hopefully they can do something with it. They seem to be taking their time. We don't have a date or anything else coming forward. I mean, and honestly, it hasn't made me want to read the characters anymore. But I've heard really, really good things about the award-winning Mr. Miracle series by Tom King, which features all of these characters, the Darkseid Furies and New Gods.
I just want to see how she adapts that. What was that? That motherly character. What's her name again? Like, she was in the DC animated series. That's where I first came across her. She's like just some sort of like
Big Barda?
Mother. Yeah, no, it wasn't Big Barda. It was some sort of like motherly person. She's got like gray curly hair. I feel like.
the leader of the Furies. What is her name?
Yeah, I was trying to look it up while you were talking. Yeah, she just looks like an old grandma, but she's like buff and she like fights people.
Yep. I'm gonna have to female Furies. What is her name? Granny Goodness.
Yeah, Granny. I want to see her adapted on screen. I think that would be great. She was really fun in the animated stuff that I saw her in. So I mean, I could look forward just to her. I mean, it's the year of the granny.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You heard it here first, people. Mike's got the year of the granny on the calendar. Whenever that movie comes out. The CW is also their last season of Arrow. So guess what they're doing? Same thing Marvel. Everybody's doing. We're going all out. We're having crossovers, Mike. Crossover here, crossover there. We're adapting the biggest crossover from DC Comics of all time on the small screen. With Crisis on Infinite Earths. And in that, Kevin Conroy will portray Bruce Wayne from the future in this 5-part crossover. There's 5 TV shows crossing over, right? 1 week, 5 shows.
Chris, we just saw Kevin Conroy
we did.
In person. We were in the same room as him.
4 people who are uninitiated, Mike. Who is Kevin Conroy?
Kevin Conroy, you know who he is, even if you don't know what he looks like or don't know his name. He is the voice of Batman. If you've ever watched the Batman animated show, animated movie,
played the games,
played a Batman video game, he is always the voice of the best version of Batman. There's other people out there that have done the voice of Batman. He is by far the best. He just has like this amazing voice, and we got to see him on stage, and he kind of talked about how he kind of changes his inflection between being like, Bruce Wayne and more serious Batman. So this is so cool because a lot of people out there don't know who he is and don't know what he looks like, but they absolutely love the work that he does. So I think it's so cool that he's going to be on screen in this crossover. And I think the other week we talked about how Brandon Routh is going to be back in a Superman suit. So
yeah, the Kingdom Come suit.
They are just going all out, which is just really, really cool. I think really fun. And also it seems really scrappy because even though these are really popular shows out there, they also have a relatively muted budget compared to crossovers that you see in movies. So I just kind of like to see how they manage it. It almost just seems like a big, big bureaucratic number crunching problem solving solution. So I like to see how that ends up on screen. So yeah, I can't wait to see Kevin Conroy's Bruce Wayne. I would imagine maybe they're going the Bruce Wayne route because he's getting older up there in age. Maybe he doesn't necessarily want to put a suit on, or maybe they can't afford a suit. Like I just said, they're crunching numbers over there. But
what if it's
the fact that we get to see his face is awesome.
What if it's the Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne?
Oh, that would be cool because, I mean, he's supposed to be Bruce Wayne from the future, so the future, I guess depending on what Earth you're looking at, he could, be whatever age or version they want to make him. But, oh, man, that'd be awesome if he just, like, mentioned, like, Terry McGinnis, like, from Batman Beyond. Like, he doesn't have to be in this crossover. It would be rad if he was because, holy crap, like a Batman Beyond series, live action on CW, or maybe HBO Max. Oh my God, that would be a way to sell HBO Max to me, is to do a live action Batman Beyond, throw some money at it. But yeah, Kevin Conroy, this is awesome news. I woke up this morning and I saw it in my Twitter feed and I was like, hell yeah, this is a good way to start the day.
Yeah, and then from that article as well, they do confirm the Black Lightning characters will appear in the Arrowverse shows for the first time. Bringing all of the CW shows together because the Black Lightning people, while it is a CW and DC comics based show, they've never once hopped universes like Supergirl did.
And also production-wise, all of the CW shows shoot up in Vancouver, and Black Lightning is the only one that shoots down in Georgia. So there's, there's location-based hurdles to go over there. But the guy who plays Black Lightning, Cress Williams, he was at Comic-Con. I was walking from one panel to another, and I walked by him, and he was, like, so cool because he was just, like, very low-key, just, like, talking to some fans. Like, he had, like, a hat and sunglasses on, so he wasn't being swarmed. So he was just, like, out there just chilling, like, just talking with people, and I thought that was so cool. I've seen like a handful of Black Lightning episodes, and the ones that I saw were pretty fun. And I've listened to an interview with Cress Williams before, like on a podcast, and he seems like a really chill guy. So it's cool that they're kind of getting their crossover time in the spotlight.
Yeah, on the biggest crossover probably they will ever do. Like from down here with Arrow being off, it's only downhill from here, man, for the crossovers. But that starts Sunday, December 8th. So December, right after your Thanksgiving food, but right before your Christmas food. You can always talk about Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah, there you go.
You might have some older relatives that may remember the comic series from the 90s or from the 80s. That was really, really big. So maybe we'll share some elements there. Bring generations together.
Yeah, there you go.
And lastly, we're not huge Walking Dead fans here, but there's a new Walking Dead series coming, a spin-off, and it looks like it's going with a very science fiction thing here based on this new video they showed, which kind of, to me, it looked more like I saw some Terminator stuff in it, but like very sci-fi based. Maybe, I don't know what the vibe is, but I don't think it's going to be like, hey, we're survivors in Georgia.
It looks like the video is like pitching like a couple different new characters and actors just talking to the camera, and then intercut with concept art of like ideas. So it kind of reminds me a little bit of the very campy sci-fi show Z Nation, where this was like the whole DNA of that show was, it seemed like somebody would think of a very crazy thing like, oh, what if a bunch of zombies got caught up in a tornado, and it would be a zombie tornado. So that's very campy. This maybe seems like a little bit more down to earth. Like one concept art that stuck out to me was a crashed plane where the plane was turned over and all of the corpses on the plane were zombies, and they were kind of like dangling down, kind of like stalactites in a cave. So, but the vibe actually I got from it, because we don't get a whole lot of information here, is it doesn't necessarily seem to me like it's going to be a new connected series. It almost seems like maybe they're going to go an anthology route, where maybe every episode is a different cast of characters, kind of maybe like Black Mirror-esque, or maybe something like that, where every episode's a little different. Because I think one of the actors said there's been a lot of stuff going on in this world that you haven't seen, so we're going to show you the things that you haven't seen. So it seems like maybe it'd be like Twilight Zone or like Black Mirror, it's something standalone where maybe we don't necessarily see all these characters come together in the end, or you won't see like Morgan leave The Walking Dead and maybe pop up in an episode. I don't know. But if it's just kind of like these one-off things, I could maybe watch it because I've kind of fallen off on the show. I don't really keep track of it anymore. But if I could kind of just tune in to like just a really clever zombie idea and I don't have to really worry too much about the lore, maybe I'd be down.
What if it's, instead of episodally, what if it's seasonally? Maybe it handles like the American Horror Story approach, where every season's a different tale of this, and it wraps up in the season, and the next season is the next, I guess, set of characters or journey going on.
Yeah, maybe, because I mean, if it's just like a Fear the Walking Dead type of thing, it's just kind of like, well, you kind of did that already, so maybe this is, and they don't really give you anything beyond of saying this is just a new series from The Walking Dead. So I don't really know what they're gonna do here, but you can definitely see AMC trying to squeeze every penny out of this IP that's possible.
Oh, you mean The Walking Dead Network?
Well, I mean, we talked about it before we started recording that the comic book had wrapped up. So technically, we do have an endpoint of possibly where these characters end up. So eventually, I know the TV series has gone a totally different route, but that means canonically there is an ending somewhere. So Walking Dead can't be going on forever. So AMC, maybe they should look at maybe developing some new IP. Don't just be the Walking Dead network.
Well, it used to be just the Breaking Bad network, wasn't it? And then they ran out of that. So
they're probably going to try to make their own like AMC streaming service, and they're going to offer an exclusive Walking Dead series that you can't get anywhere else unless you give them $5 a month. And I don't know.
Well, what did AMC used to be called? Was it the
American Movie Classics?
Yeah, what movies are on there? What movies are you showing anymore? You're showing The Walking Dead. What was it they had this year? Nosferatu. Was that the new one? Better Call Saul. What movies are you showing on there? AMC. Give me some. The movies they're making. The movie they're making, the Walking Dead movies, aren't even going there. They're going to the theaters. So
all lies.
Yeah, we've been had, Mike. We've been had. But if you do a Google on them, you can find their customer service number right on the Wikipedia, right on the Google page. So give them a call. Let them know you're upset. So that's really all we got. But Mike, that's our show for this week. I think that's it. It's lighter week. The first couple weeks after Comic-Con are so light.
Yeah, well, it's also just the summertime lull in general. Like the movies that we talk about are releasing, so it's kind of like you gotta wait. There was a teaser trailer for Christopher Nolan's new movie that just came out. It was actually debuted in front of Hobbs and Shaw. Very cryptic. You don't really get a whole lot from it, but maybe once we get that first Christopher Nolan teaser trailer, maybe we can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's time travel or something. There's Batman somewhere. He's alive in the end. I don't know, but anyway. Yeah, it's a weird state. We got D23 coming up. I think what is it? Joker's right around the corner. We're gonna be seeing that soon. But it's a slower week, so we gotta riff and we gotta wrap.
That is totally fine. I'm always fine with slower weeks because it just gives me time to just make random predictions about the Eternals being the bad guys.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that to happen and Mike to brag that he's right.
Yeah, or wrong. He'll never brag that he's wrong though. That's our job as listeners.
Who would do that? You're crazy if you're bragging that you're wrong.
Yeah, but at least you're trying. That's what I give you. So listeners, if you can't wait to prove tell Mike he's wrong. Just write these down. Put them in your little notebook. Put a reminder. Remind me in 1 year.
Yeah.
But if people want to know what you're up to, Mike, what you're doing, where can they find you at?
Well, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram and Twitter, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you and see if you've been sleeping for more than 12 hours, where can they find you?
If you're concerned about my sleep schedule, I really appreciate that, people. But you can find me on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan, or Instagram, Valdan87. I'm still going through my San Diego Comic-Con post to put up there as people are like, oh, you're still in San Diego? I'm like, no, that's just old photos. I'm very slow with that. You also head over to Comic UI. People want to listen to more of our episodes, Mike, especially that San Diego review episode, because I'm very proud of that episode. That was 2 hours, but we did a lot of work on that one. Mm-hmm. If people want to know about that, where can they find that at?
Oh, it's so easy. It's so very, very easy. All you got to do is visit superheroslate.com. That is the best resource out there on the internet for this show. You can get our awesome show notes there. So we talked about some cool little Endgame Easter eggs. We talked about that deleted tweet from Tom Hardy showing Andy Serkis's like lifeless corpse as a black and white photo. You can check all that out in our show notes, and you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on the gram if you want, and you can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. That is superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Specifically, Jim, reach out, let us know what Star Wars Celebration looks like on the floor, and anybody else that's been to Star Wars Celebration, because that actually is the one that travels, right? Star Wars Celebration changes cities,
yes.
Right? So who knows? Maybe it's different every city that it's in. Maybe they get different vendors depending on the location that they settle on. So let us know. We love hearing from you. Do you have any crazy theories about the Eternals? Let us know, because if you send it into us, it's technically out there in the world. And then if it actually happens, we can give you the credit on air that this listener thought about it first. So we love hearing from you. We also love our super fans. So if you want to be a super fan of this show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week like clockwork.
Yes, for at least 2 years until we get renewed for the next 2 years after that again. So, but we'll be here. We'll catch you guys next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
It's like I saw a billboard today that was like Big Red and White Castle, 2 local classics at one location. I'm like,
oh my gosh, I love Big Red soda.